Well, hello there, friends, on this absolutely delightful Sunday evening. Glad to finally finish off the weekend and have Monday off. And then it's back to work. It's nothing like things breaking. And, who do you call? Who's even working the weekend? Blah, blah, blah. Who gets to put out the fire, right? Old Georgie boy up and at 'em. Figuring stuff out on the spot, but definitely also realizing that the realities that it's good to be useful. It's good to be well liked and appreciated because of that usefulness, for a good legitimate reason. But I was like, is that my water bottle? No, okay. Well, speaking of which, I am thirsty. Yeah, I bet you are thirsty. Thirsty for the booty, right? But, yeah, just one of those realities where you also realize how all the going out of your way, whether it's for the public, for the coworkers, at the end of the day, the sad reality that it doesn't really mean anything, It's not like you do it for a reward or anything like that, but just you'd hope that somebody would recognize it and it would mean something more than just like a patting on the back and, oh, thanks for doing that. It's like, well, it'd be nice if like somebody recognized that and offered something else, but oh well, folks. Oh well. But it's definitely just, it's good to be useful and just kind of make the day go by faster, but also realizing just how much energy you put towards things that, alright, why can't you put in a similar amount of energy towards something you actually care about, right? Because there's not a monetary payoff yet, right? It's just kind of, I don't know. That's kind of where my head is at with that. Can't be bothered to muster a fraction of that towards something you actually give a shit about, right? Oh, well. But anyway, folks, no point in getting black-pilled, depressed, whatever. I think I'm kind of getting away from the whole, oh, it's over, it's the end. It's ogre, man. It's over for you, man. I think I'm getting away from that mindset, folks. I don't believe that it's over. I believe that the hour, folks, is late. Sometimes very late. But I don't believe that it's over yet. I guess that's sort of the topic of this video. God, you talk so slow. I gotta watch this on like 4X. Is that a sloth or a man talking? You're so slow, Mr. Snail Man. There was a comment that I actually put on a little sheet from a good online friend. If you're watching this, I'm sure you are. You know who you are. So I don't know if I'll be able to answer it very well, but it's also just kind of, I guess it in a way ties in with what's on my mind and the subject of this video. So basically it says, hey George, do you ever feel as though you know what needs to be done to get better, but there's this brick wall holding you back? That's how I feel. How I've been feeling for years, almost like an inescapable curse. Well, actually, I have it in front of me. Indeed. It's sort of like, I guess when it's something that you've been doing for a long time, it feels like it can never be any different, right? Where you've been, like, depending on your situation in life, but, in my case, it's like you've been alone for so long. There's been no GF for so long. The warmth, it's been so long that you've never felt the warmth and comfort and love of a woman. It sort of feels like, could it ever be any different? You've been at the same fucking job for so long. Could it ever possibly be any different? It's like year after, the fuck is that noise? Year after year, just the longer you keep doing it, the older you get, the more ingrained that habit gets, the more it feels impossible that it could ever possibly change, Or is it? Folks? On one hand, yes, it does get harder. Yeah, I'll bet. It does get harder. Sorry. Yeah, you got the maturity level of a 15-year-old making jokes like that. On one hand, folks, yes, it does get harder as you get older, but on the other hand, that's what I've been thinking about. On the other hand, though, in some ways it is easier, because when you've been doing something for a long time, you've got the experience of like, okay, I actually don't want to keep doing this. I actually know what I don't want. It's just because, a lot of times when you're younger, it's like you don't really know what the fuck you want. So it's kind of like, what do I actually decide on? I guess the benefit of getting older and doing something for a long time is it's like, yes, this thing that I'm doing I don't actually want anymore. I want something else. It's just, can you give up that thing or things, which is very hard because, it kind of, a lot of times it sort of becomes your identity, doesn't it? This is all I know. This is all I know how to do or experience. I don't know if it could be any different. That it's that fear of like giving up the thing that that's a part of you. Sort of like losing yourself for something that doesn't feel like it ever be any different, right? So it's understandable where it's just, you know what you need to do, right? But it's like, it only feels like you can't do it. And that's what it really comes down to, how so much of it is in our heads, isn't it? It only feels like you can't do it, but it's the realities too, that no matter how much you psych yourself out, most of the progress is just sort of this boring, tedious, day by day. Doesn't really feel like, feeling like shit depending on what you're trying to do or give up or work towards, with kind of no payoff. Very infrequent payoff where, like, I should go work towards this, but each day is sort of this boring, tedious, always wanting to go back to old habits day, right? But that's unfortunately how it's done. And very little to no payoff for a long, long time. So, I guess it's just always at the end of the day a choice, right? A choice, which, believe me, you finish a frustrating day at work, you've decided you're going to do this and that, but you're just so happy to be off from work that all you want to do is go home and relax, right? And the cycle continues on and on. So, you know, like I said, it sort of feels like it could never be any different, where there's just moments where you're like definitely surrounded by, I mean, in my case, with the whole forever alone blah blah thing, where you're just like surrounded by women and you're like, oh, there are people who date these women and blah blah, that, you know, they have these wonderful things, you know, I mean, it's not all great, but you know what I mean. They have these interactions and relationships with these women that it's just like, it sometimes feels like you're looking into a separate world where you all exist in the same space, but like in complete different realities, you know. But at the end of the day, I do believe that it's not over, including you, good friend. It is, of course, going to be very shitty to get over some stuff, but, I mean, that is the path that we must go down. I was watching a while ago, I believe it was a video by that JF did, you know, JF did with Frame Game Radio. I remember Frame Game, it was about incels, something like that, but and I remember the one guy was saying, like, well, with men, it's not like, I forgot the way he phrased it, but like, it's not a constant where, oh, by this point, if you haven't something, like, it's over. Like, no, for men, it's definitely more kind of fluid, where I would say, like, people can kind of, some people peak early, but, you know, it's not like, oh, at this age, if you haven't this, then it's over. Where there's kind of more like, you know, people just kind of have like weird success with something, like sometimes way later in life. So it's kind of more, that's sort of been on my mind, where I think for me personally, and maybe this is cope, maybe this is hope, but I feel like it's at least something where it's either going to be one of two things. Yeah, I guess for most of life it's been pretty uneventful, right? Anxious, uneventful, blah blah, but I'm either going to have a weird success with something late in life, or I guess just kind of dwindle away, if you will. Hold on, I think the light is going to go off soon. Dwindle away, one or the other. So, I guess about one of the only things that keeps me going is the hope that something will eventually turn out, which I realize, oh, Mr. Cope Man, Mr. Francis Ford Cope, here, you know? The George Father here. Yeah, I realize maybe so, but it's also like, the nice thing is that you know what you need to do. Sort of for me too, and I'm sure a lot of people watching this, because you may have been in a stage in life where you're literally like, I don't know what to do. Maybe you're watching this and it's like, you don't know what to do, and I'm not going to tell you what to do. It's up to you to figure out. But I guess you sort of reach a point in life where, like, you calm down, you can examine your situation in an unemotional state and be like, all right, I definitely know what I need to do. And I would say it's probably a combination of more short-term goals and very long-term ones, because if it's just like, well, I just want to, you know, get in shape and get laid, man, that's like my life goal. I mean, that's pretty sad. It's a good, maybe more short-term one, But I feel like, is that really what you want to make your whole life purpose? You know, well, I just want to get cut. I just want to get ripped, man, and get some pussy. You know, I feel like you're kind of shortchanging yourself by, I don't know. There's just something kind of sad about the great mystery of your existence is just to get laid. Like, that's pretty damn sad, folks. So I think that's why there's got to be more practical stuff, and maybe you can incorporate your esoteric, more ethereal, long-term, blah, blah, something plans too. And that's the thing is, once you get it, you know, let's say like, well, gosh, no girlfriend and I haven't had sex and I'm so alone. Well, I mean, let's say you get it, right? Let's say you decide, I'm going to looks max, bro. I'm going to wash my dick and clean my room and lift weights and learn some games. So let's say you get it, you know? Okay, so you have some more success on Tinder, which, you know, it's sort of like some of these people, I swear to God, they're like, oh, I watched how women on this one documentary preferred men with this sort of jaw, and it's like, look at how they swiped more for like this other guy with other jaw. And so like, and people form this fucking identity over now how, a jaw this way or that way. Well, you're only saying that because you got like a good jaw underneath that fat face. You wouldn't be saying that if you had the bimolar polar plexus thing. And like I said, I get it, but do you really want to form your whole identity out of what women like on Tinder? You know, like, the great mystery of your existence, and it's like, how can I get a certain jawline because I saw that, women on Tinder like this. Like, I don't know, folks. If you want to reduce yourself to that, feel free, but, you know, once you get it, then what? Then what? So you got laid, blah, 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 your muscles. Then what? I mean, honestly, serious question, then what? Then you're left with I'm sure the question of, what is the meaning of your existence? Your place on this earth. Why are you here? You know? Life has no meaning. It's just about getting your dick wet. Yeah. Well, no wonder you're so unhappy. I mean, I know I'm not happy too, but at least I'm thinking about a greater purpose. So, who knows, folks? Who knows? That's up to each of us to answer. But that's what I mean is short, mid, and long-term goals. Stuff that's sort of realistic and more achievable, and I feel like more longer-term things. Something that really can get you working in life long-term. But then it's the whole doing all that crap, right? Doing all that crap that probably won't have any benefits or payoffs for a long time. So, who knows, folks? Maybe this is all just massive cope. But this is why I don't know why. I don't believe it's completely over. I don't believe it's completely over, depending on what situation you're in, unless it's really that bad that you're heavily disabled and this and that. But I feel like if you really search deep inside, you can probably try to find some sort of meaning in life, something that you care about. And dedicate yourself to. There's so many pitfalls, though, isn't there? There's so many dead ends and pitfalls. I mean, like I said, just becoming like a, would you call that a fuck boy? That I've heard the term used to, where it's like, well, I'm just going to focus on how can I put myself in a position to get laid, you know? It's like, is this really, like, is this fucking what you really want to dedicate your life to? I don't know. Okay, so once you have success and you have sex a couple of times, like, is it really that still? It's like, oh, that was it? Looks, you know, LMS, man. Looks, money, status. You know, that's, you just gotta, like, I get it. I mean, I'm sure that can help with something, and it's not a bad thing. You know, maybe you attract a nice girl into your life and you decide, you know, instead of being like a piece of shit that sleeps around, I want to find hopefully a nice girl, which I know is maybe easier said than done given the relationship of the sexes right now, but, you know, a nice girl to start a family with and be a good father, best of your abilities. Well, there he goes again. It's just sort of funny, like, status, you know. Like, realistically, folks, what fucking status are any of us, or any of you gonna have? And I said, I'm including myself very much in this. Like, what status? Oh, you like to lift weights and you work a whole bunch, so you're just like working your life away, and maybe you like got some money to like buy a car and like a place of your own. Like, oh, okay, Mr. Celebrity there. Yeah, I was watching this one video. It was like, oh yeah, here's like a workout routine, you know, looks like lifting. Yeah, you know, like Donald Trump made a bunch of money in real estate, so you should like get into real, like, oh God, fucking. There should be a purpose for it, I feel like. Not, you know, it's one thing like maybe you want to start a family, so you need money, but if it's just like money to have money, I feel like there needs to be a point to it. Otherwise, you know, realistically, what? You work up to yourself to some job that pays well, that more than likely you're going to have to spend a lot of fucking hours each week at working away so you can afford some toys, a place of your own to bring to you. What? You get laid once in a while, and you have Netflix and you can binge on Netflix, and like, is that really your life too? There's got to be a point, folks. There's got to be a point. Well, I wish there was a point to this video. Oh. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it per se, but once again, it's just like, oh, that's what I'm going to dedicate my life to. Just to get laid and have money. You can have money. Oh, boy. You take it to where it's useful, I feel like, but not treat it like it's like the end-all, be-all, is my opinion. And, you know, and you have some of these people, too, that are like, some of these irony bros where it's like, video games good, women bad. Nothing else, you know, nothing matters. Everything's dumb. Like, and that's, like, I like some of the memes and all that, but some of these people where it's like, so are you like actually taking it that seriously? And this is your thing, huh? Okay, well, whatever. Why are you so hopeful? You haven't really had success with anything, right? Well, it's essentially this way, folks. I guess for me personally, if there's anything that I've experienced, it's that things weirdly seem to come to me way later in life. So that's why I'm cautiously optimistic, you know? It's like I don't seem to develop and experience things at a normal pace, but eventually it does happen. And obviously the more stubborn you are and take longer to do things, the longer it's going to happen. But I believe at some point it will happen. A weird sort of success with something later in life, where it's like you get stuck doing things for a long time, and it's like, well, I guess that's just my life now. I'm too scared to drive a car, so I'm just not a driver. And then you reach a point in life where it's like you have no other option but to get over that fear or do this or do that. And then it changes, and it's like, oh shit, I guess that's not my life. So that's where my head is at right now, folks. Well, we'll see how long this lasts before the next blow up of like thinking everything's over. I don't know. It's guess I've experienced that enough to be like, I don't think that this is just it, well, I just sort of go to this job and I come home and blah blah, that's it. Now, obviously it's not as if like if I just wait long enough, something's great gonna come to me. But I believe if I finally find it in me to make the changes that I need to make, good things probably will happen. And not being like, it's over for you, man. Getting out of that mindset will be very beneficial. So, gosh, it sounds like you're just in that, like, when will it be my turn for sex? And it's not about sex, so don't be, so don't think that that's what this is all just about. I mean, obviously at some point, but that's not the whole point. But no matter how many goddamn times I say that, people still think like, oh, bro, it's so easy to get laid. So, you just gotta like wash your dick and use deodorant and clean your room and, shave your beard. And I was like, learn game, bro. So, like, okay, whatever. Fuck off. So, I mean, it's very dependent on your situation in life. But it can be very difficult to find information, right? I feel like there are just so many dead ends and like paths that theoretically are good, but you don't want to like, well, this is just the path I'll always go down. I don't know exactly what will happen, but I don't believe that it's over, folks. Even though maybe I have been doing the same shit for a long time, I don't believe that it will continue forever. And it doesn't have to be the same way for you. Although, of course, it's easier said than done sometimes, right? Well, I wish you luck, sir. Although, it will be challenging. Is it transforming yourself or becoming who you were meant to be? Not letting people dictate what you should become, but becoming who you want to be. Learning what you can, but at a certain point it is like, all right, buddy, Thanks for the information. I don't really need any more. I got what I needed. You know, the rest of this is not really for me. I don't know what you think I want, but yeah. Well, we'll see, folks, right? We shall see. On that note, I guess we'll call it an evening. Call it a day, call it an evening. Gotta get home. Gotta get home. Gotta go work out. Make some food. Oh, it's alright, folks. As sad as it sometimes feels, like you know, you put in your work somewhere a bunch and it doesn't really mean anything, right? Well, at least you can recognize that maybe you should start redirecting some of that energy towards something that does actually matter. So I'm not bitter. Bitter a little bit, but that's okay. Not getting depressed about it, but realizing where to move on to. All right, well, I wish you folks well. Guess I will see you later. Bye-bye.